Professor Louis Bonnoir, evolutionism is a fairy tale for grown-ups. This theory has helped nothing in the progress of science. It is useless. Dr. Michael Denton, in his book Evolution, A Theory in Crisis, a living cell is so awesomely complex that its interdependent components stagger the imagination and defy evolutionary explanations. A minimal cell contains over 60,000 proteins of 100 different configurations. Dr. Wolfgang Smith said, on the fundamental level, it becomes a rigorously demonstrable fact that there are no transitional types, and the so-called missing links are indeed non-existent. The fact remains that there exists to this day not a shred of bona fide scientific evidence in support of the thesis that macroevolutionary transformations have ever occurred. Of course, macroevolution means going from one completely different kind of animal to another, like ape to man, fish to frog. A growing number of respectable scientists are defecting from the evolutionist camp. It is interesting, moreover, that for the most part these experts have abandoned Darwinism not on the basis of religious faith or biblical persuasions, but on strictly scientific grounds, and in some instances regretfully. Dr. Scott Hughes, in his book The Collapse of Evolution, the irony of this whole situation is that the very concept of organic evolution is completely absurd and impossible. It is absolutely astonishing that an idea that is so devoid of any legitimate scientific evidence could have attained a position of such prestige in the name of science. Physiologist Dr. Tian Tamizian, scientists who go about teaching that evolution is a fact of life are great con men, and the story they are telling may be the greatest hoax ever. In explaining evolution, we do not have one iota of fact. Notice he said we there. He didn't say they. He said we do not have one iota of fact. This is an evolutionist talking, admitting there is no evidence for evolution. Dr. Charles Jackson, evolution is bad science. It's pseudoscience. It's just filled with presupposed ideas, people not willing to give up their favorite pet theories, people's reputations, their livelihoods, their tenure and funding, and even their worldview is all tied up in evolution. There's a lot at stake for people who are fighting for evolution to be the only paradigm taught in schools. As a teacher, I think it's unfair. As a scientist, I think it's just bad thinking, period. The evolutionists will tell you that no scientists believe in creation and disbelieve evolution. But there's an estimated 10,000 of us. The inventor of the MRI is a creationist. There's no compelling scientific reason not to believe that the Creator created the earth in 6 days about 6,000 years ago. Botanist E.J.H. Corner. To the unprejudiced, the fossil record of plants is in favor of special creation. Dr. Patrick Briney. Creation science is the best explanation for the origin of the universe, life, and species. Dr. Colin Patterson. One of the reasons I started taking this anti-evolutionary view was it struck me that I had been working on this stuff for 20 years and there was not one thing I knew about it. That's quite a shock to learn that one can be misled so long. So I started putting this question: can you tell me anything you know about evolution? Any one thing that is true? I tried that question on the geology staff at the Field Museum of Natural History, and the only answer I got was silence. I tried it on the members of the Evolutionary Morphology Seminar in the University of Chicago, a very prestigious body of evolutionists, and all I got there was silence. Dr. Kent Hovind. There is absolutely no evidence of any evolution of man from anything else. Macroevolution is a fantasy. It's based upon imagination. We've never seen it in nature. Evolutionist Richard Dawkins was asked on TV, Can you think of one example of a mutation that has caused an increase in genetic complexity? Evolution would require billions of them. Can you name one, please? He was dead silent for 19 seconds. Finally, he said, "Shut off the camera, please." Now, he's not making this up. You can do a Google search. This actually happened. This famous evolutionist, supposedly one of the best experts on evolution, couldn't answer that question. Dr. John Morris, in his book The Young Earth, the laws of statistics show that favorable mutations are so improbable that they will most likely never happen once in 20 billion years, let alone happen millions of times. The laws of science absolutely preclude evolution, pointing towards degradation of life's complex systems and not toward evolutionary integration. Dr. Joseph Mastropalo, I was an evolutionist for most of my life. I consider that the greatest betrayal of my educational career. Evolution is not science. It may have been portrayed that way recently on PBS, but it is not science. It actually is anti-science. Evolution is a sham. We are devolving. Dr. Edward Baudreau, I started looking into the published literature, and to my amazement, I could not find legitimate, scientific, credible evidence that supported evolution. Just suppositions, presumptions, and conjectures that were knitted together to form a framework of a concept. I wouldn't even give evolution the title of a theory or even a hypothesis. This is from Dr. David Plastid's website. Dr. Colin Patterson, a paleontologist, realized that amino acid sequences in near relatives on the phylogenetic tree would be expected to show close correlation according to evolutionary theory. To Patterson, this was a great opportunity to test the theory. The results? Absolutely no correlation between similarity of sequences and nearness on the evolutionary tree. Patterson, in a speech given November 5, 1981, before other evolutionists, pointed out to a stunned audience that the new data on amino acid sequences contradicts the theory of evolution. He said, "The theory makes the prediction, we've tested it, and the prediction is falsified precisely. The evidence obtained from the Human Genome Project indicates that a genetic mutation of as little as 0.00001% of an animal's genome is fatal. Obviously, there is no way to bridge even a small genetic gap in animal species by random genetic changes. Quantitative genetic information from the Human Genome Project is proving the theory of evolution to be the most irrational belief ever held by mankind. Individual species had to be assembled separately in the genetic code by an intelligent being whose electrical and chemical engineering technology is vastly superior to ours. The only word for such intelligence is God."